So the point is there isn't much known about how gravity works at the small scale inside matter. Okay, that's unknown physics really. They just it's not, they make little models. So there's a lot there that's not known, and of course that's the whole secret. That's how these NHI, that's how these tic tacs work, because they know that physics. And here's the beginning. This is just the most elementary extension of Newtonian Einstein gravity theory inside matter. Okay.
Now, how do we change S?
What?
So how do you so you're going to have to be able to change S in your craft.
Yes. S is control. It's a control parameter. That's correct. And how do you make S? To make S is complicated. But I'm saying this is now, before we get into details like that, you first have to have the general concept. So let's not worry about, that's technology, right? I'm doing conceptual physics here. There's a difference. First, you do the simple concept. You got to get the concept. There is S. Nobody even knew there was an S. They didn't know that there was an S, which is related to the index of refraction. Nobody thought of that. Now, this is original physics. This is not some schmuck, unimaginative hack mind repeating what he read in a textbook. This is original work.
Well, this is like where you show that, this is like where you show that the old physics is just a small case example of a much larger physics.
Yeah, this is the extension of a fairly standard thing.
Greetings, welcome to Ancient Library. This is Public UFO Science, Tome 13. Before we start with this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview what you can expect in this episode. At first, we're going to talk about the definition of some terms, citizen science, UFO physics, and we're going to talk about alternative propulsion approaches and systems involving anti-gravity and similar stuff. And we're going to talk about mentionable characters and groups in the scene, putting in work, spaces which are very interesting, and I'm going to provide a lot of sources if you want to dive deeper on this. So let's start with the actual video. The definition of public science, or so-called citizen science, it's basically just people without an education in a certain field can talk and connect about things. On the one hand, people are saying, it's no professional thing, so people just don't discard the thing at all. But I guess in this special area, talking about UFO physics, talking about UFO science, there's either something there or it's anti-gravity is a total fluke. And that's like basic conceptual theoretical approaches, and we can talk about these things without having a PhD or a master's in physics. So that's the definition of public science, citizen science. And I just labeled this video as citizen science because, I don't have a PhD or a master's in physics. So, people can argue I don't know what I'm talking about, but we're not going to talk about certain equations here. We're talking about theoretical conceptual approaches about certain things and topics, considering the UFO physics stuff. So, let's define UFO science, UFO physics. I guess it's a theoretical attempt to build flying craft more advanced than jets. So, UFO is an unidentified flying object. So, we talk about flying craft here because it's not unidentified when we build it. So, I think the basic part, the main thing about this all is the propulsion system. We're building rockets, Elon Musk trying to reach Mars with rockets. I guess it's physical possible, but it's for humans and our lifespan, it's a pretty rough thing. So I think the basic essence of this whole thing is to create an alternative propulsion system. And there are some things we're going to mention, some are more or less speculative, but it's also about a theoretical reverse engineering approach of seen or, collected UFOs. Matter of fact, we, the public, don't have physical crafts. If there are physical crafts from ETs on this planet, they are like buried in some contractor hidden programs, and they done their research and shenanigans out there, but we're going to talk about in this video later. So, we make a transition to alternative propulsion approaches. And before we talk about anti-gravity and quantum gravity, I want to mention Nikola Tesla here first, because he was active in the 1800s and he was a genius, he was a special human being, And even at this time, he was thinking about building flying craft. And I mean, there's just some ideas of this guy came through, and I think it impacted our world in a great way. And we all don't know if he got like many problems maybe solved in his documents, and this, I don't know, US took all his documents. We never know what's really happened with this guy, but we know for certain know he's a genius, and he was trying to express a certain he was trying to get over the borders of imagination, and he was achieving things. So we continue with the history of anti-gravity. And this is starting in the 1920s. The anti-gravity research starts. There were people like Lewis Witten, the father of string theory, by the way, and Knuth Benson and other guys. There's a guy, a corporation, the Glenn Martin Corporation, was involved very early in the research of anti-gravity. Glenn Martin today is called Lockheed Martin. So I mean, there's some stuff connected here. And in the 1950s, Lewis Witten said 10 years of his life, a whole decade, was wasted and to anti-gravity, and it was all just a fluke, and it was all just wasted. So maybe this is like a counterintelligence report, and the stuff just went dark, because since the late 1950s, we never heard stuff about anti-gravity again. It was all labeled as a fluke, and we got string theory, and we got certain things from Einstein, which are like, conflicting the theory of anti-gravity in some ways. We got a guy called T. Townsend Brown. There's lots of stuff. There's some books out about him. He was like called like the father of the research of anti-gravity. And he discovered certain properties of magnesium bismuth, so-called metamaterials. And later in crafts or like crash reports, or maybe it's just theoretical theories, they say metamaterials are used to build these crafts, and that's like about the re-engineering of these things. I think that's about UFO physics as well. But there's like a video called The Dark History of Anti-Gravity from the Theories of Everything channel by Kurt Jaimungal. I can recommend this video. He's going more in depth on this whole things. He mentioned all the names and put it all in a perspective. So I can recommend to watch this. And Lewis Witten said 10 years was a waste of time. So was it actually a waste of time? Or did it just went dark in hidden contractor programs where they done all types of shenanigans and all types of conspiracies which are around today would match to this scenario? So, but let's talk about other speculative alternative propulsion approaches. The 0-point field, that's basically an anti-gravity thing as well, going with the free energy thing. That's all pretty speculative. We got a thing called spintronics. That's like a real thing, electromagnetic electrogravitics. And people say the saucer shape is basically derived because in the UFO there have to be like two disks or two things spinning in opposite directions and creating a force, creating like zero gravity, anti-gravity. We're not going to talk about the Alcubierre drive because this is like a theoretical approach to build a UFO, to build a flying craft, to reach different star systems. But it's more going in the warp drive direction. So it's more like one step on top. It's even thinking about a theoretical approach to do warp jumps and travel faster than the speed of light, or like at least the speed of light. And then we got stories about the TR-3B, a triangular black triangle craft, and I'm gonna link a documentation about this craft as well in the description box. And some people say some humans try to run this with nuclear propulsion, or like cold fusion propulsion. This all sounds pretty mad because imagine you got flying craft. I mean, we got submarines with nuclear propulsion, but they're in the water. Imagine we got thousands of feet in the sky. We got flying aircraft with nuclear propulsion drives. I mean, that's pretty insane. So this was just a quick section talking about alternative speculative propulsion approaches, because I think you either go the rocket way or you go another way. And I think to reach these goals, to reach this type of level of travel, we need to think new and try to go in the anti-gravity or other directions. And some people tried it like many decades ago, and some people put in bare hours and bare energy to try to derive things from anti-gravity research, and all of a sudden it went dark and it was all a waste of time. So I think that's very interesting here, and we should try to get more information into the public about this topic. So we go to the next section. We talk about valuable individuals, groups, and spaces, like I mentioned in the prologue. And I'm going to explain this section here real quick. I'm not going through individuals only. I'm going to talk about certain groups, certain events, or certain organizations which were founded to push the UFO physics thing. There's a thing called UAPX and a guy called Kevin Knuth I'm going to mention in a few seconds. And yeah, I'm just going to start with the section. The first guy I'm going to mention is AlienScientist. If you watch my videos, you're going to know this guy because, I'm promoting this guy's channel, to be honest. But I'm going more in depth here. He's doing YouTube for over a decade, and he's doing physics content, like the so-called conspiracy content. And I know the word is pretty used, but he's a real truth seeker, in my opinion. Nothing on his channel is monetized. It's not about money. He's putting bare effort in the channel. He also got a bachelor's degrees in physics. So he knows he got a little bit technical know-how, and he's very curious and interested to build a UFO or to build a flying craft with alternate propulsion. And many peoples and projects on this list are derived from this guy. And for me, it's one of the best channels of YouTube. And yeah, there's a link in the description and a link to a good video he posted recently. So the next person is Jack Sarfatti. He's from the old guard. He's like a PhD level scientist. He was on many great universities, and he had many legends in his life. I think he was a student of John Wheeler, and he claims he got the anti-gravity thing solved. And he's also in the AlienScientist space. He shares things with the public. He's not he's not with the establishment, but you have to consider the guy is very old. He's already on death's door. So I guess why he should be in the public and lying about things. He got a very crazy story. I'm going to link some podcasts about this. I'm going to just touch on his story here. Yeah, he was almost in his young years, 10 or 12 years, he got called. He was going on the telephone and there was a robotic voice, and he's claiming there was AI UFO technology from the future. So this is pretty wild stuff. But he's also got a great education, and he's pretty rated in the alternative physics area, I guess. And also he's a very charismatic guy, a very special guy. You heard him in the intro, and I got another section for the outro. And some academic people are not fear to debate him, obviously. And how you can fear to debate a 90-year-old man who got the same profession or the same education as you. So many people discard him immediately for his story, but I find its stuff very interesting. The next person I want to talk about is Kevin Knuth. He's a PhD level scientist as well. I mentioned him briefly earlier in this video. And he got interesting theories about potential ET travel and ET civilizations, time travel and stuff like this, more on the theoretical side. But he's also a very highly rated scientist, and he works for UAPX, that's a non-profit organization conducting field research in the UAP physics area. So he's putting everything, he got a PhD, he's sticking his neck out, and I think there's some decent people with high education who are going to try this and are genuinely interested, and he's one of these guys, and he's a very nice guy. The next section is about, or not section, it's not an individual, it's called APEC. The Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference. It's a group of people where you can join basically if you're interested and you got some stuff to provide about UAP physics or general physics, alternative stuff, electromagnetics, electrogravitics. And it's I guess it's monthly or every 2 months, and it's 5-6 hours long conference. It's free for everyone. You can watch it on the APEC or on the AlienScientist channel. It's basically open meetings where scientists exchange about their results, and if you got some stuff, you can go there and present your stuff, and it's a very nice atmosphere as well, and it gives some hope for it's the definition of this public science thing basically. I mean, they got some people who got a lower education, some people with higher education, and you exchange stuff. It's basically the direct opposite of compartmentalized research in hidden contractor programs, but we as the public, we got no money, we got no craft hidden in some bunkers. We need to do this on a genuine way. And I just want to mention here real quick, even Stephen Greer, the guy's debatable, but even he said, if we do this free energy anti-gravity research, we need to do it like in 10 or 5 labs around the globe in similar time with a live stream. So it can't be catched off. It can't be, the toothpaste can't go back into the tube and stuff like this. But yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here, talking about APEC. There's also a thing called Falcon Space, created by a guy called Mark Sokol. He's also a scientist in the AlienScientist APEC space. He's putting in bare work. Always, if you see this guy in a live stream, he's in the lab, trying stuff, conducting experiments, like a real scientist. And yeah, I can rate APEC more enough. If you're interested into this, got links in the description. I also want to mention David Chester here quick. He's also attached to the APEC space. He's like a brilliant scientist, PhD level as well. He's working for quantum gravity research. You can check them out on YouTube. I think that's a similar thing than UAPX, a non-profit organization trying to get this stuff forward. The next person I want to mention is Salvatore Pais. He's allegedly holding several UFO technology patents, or like exotic technology patents, and he works for the Navy, and I guess he's under NDAs. And if he's not under NDAs, he got some podcast appearance. He was like basically hard to get, or people saying he's hard to get for a podcast, and I listened to all of them, and I have to say, like, I'm not a PhD level scientist, but I have to say there's not really much coming around into these podcasts. He's like talking about general stuff, and maybe he's hiding stuff, maybe he's under NDA, but yeah, he's allegedly holding 5 or 6 patents involving this technology. So you can check out the patents and you can check out the guy. I'm going to put links in the description as well. The next person is like example. The guy is called Brad Vorhees. He's not very well known. He's an example for an individual who tried their own stuff and got his own, like, a little bit money, a little bit financial stuff, and his own lab, and just trying stuff. He's like a genuine mad scientist. I got him. He got like a rare appearance on the podcast. I'm going to put this in the description. So if you watch this video and you're interested in this stuff, you got so much sources, you can go fully in on this stuff. Like, even if you're not a studied physicist, just if you're interested in this stuff. And yeah, the next and last person on this list is a guy called Alan C. Holt. He's like a NASA scientist from the old guard as well, from the older generation. Like, genuine interest in astronomy, astrology, advanced propulsion specialist, working for the Space Lab, ISS, Skylab, etc. for the lunar Apollo missions. So he done all the NASA stuff. And the reason I mention this guy is he's always for like 3 or 4 times I recognize this, he's always appearing in some UFO cases and doing the research and like conducting the scientific stuff from the NASA side. I guess today we ain't got something like this. There's not like in the 80s to the Billy Meyer case, the guy is going to the Swiss mountains to Billy Meyer and asking the guy questions. Like, you can watch it in one of my videos. But I just think he's a genuine interested guy, open-minded guy still. And he works for the NASA, and he works for like basically the whole government contractor group thing. But I think he's a special individual, and he deserves a mention in this list. Okay, so we finished this section. We go to the next section, and it's like basically a question: is anti-gravity science fiction? I mean, we saw this in fantasy and science fiction productions and in debatable UFO cases. There was interest since the 1920s, like T. Townsend Brown and other people I mentioned in this video. And in the 1950s, they said, it's not going well, we closed this out, it was a waste of time. So they basically wasted 20, 30 years in research for anti-gravity. So, I mean, this is room for conspiracy here, of course. The next section is it non-fiction? Like, is anti-gravity non-fiction? I mean, maybe it just went dark and academia got adjusted to deny access to the possibility to even talk and think about these things. So if people say, oh, let's try to approach this attempt about gravity research, and they say, nah, it's people already done this, it's fake, just focus your energy on another stuff. Maybe like even curious, genuine studies students in the university are got this happen to them, maybe. So, I mean, that's the basic question. I guess we will find out in a few years if it's all like a fluke and if it's impossible to achieve, or if we actually got UFOs flying around propelled by normal humans who got like you got something solved for the rest of the world, it would mean stuff like magic, basically, flying around without making sound, without burning stuff. So yeah, I mean, if we got this, it's like a rude awakening, I guess, because if some people got this for 50 years on the planet, yeah, that's unforgivable, I guess. So we move to the next section. Sources and recommendations. I mean, I mentioned a lot of sources. I talked a lot of persons in the last few minutes, but I just want to mention a few more things. And if you look for the sources, just go down in the description. Is everything listed there? So the Theories of Everything channel with Kurt J. Mongol is a good source about all of this topic. It's a brilliant channel about physics, UFO stuff, and all about these topics. And yeah, I also want to mention 2 books. And the first one is The Man Who Mastered Gravity. It's by Paul Shatskin, and it's basically an alleged biography of T. Townsend Brown. And yeah, this is one book. The other book is Secrets of Anti-Gravity Propulsion by Paul Laviolette. He's a PhD level scientist, and there's many books out about this topic. These are the only 2 I found decent. But yeah, I mean, you can think about this. If like the secrets of anti-gravity are not written down in an Amazon book, I guess, so you need to make some additions in your brain. But there are still good books if you want to dive deeper on this type of stuff. I also want to say, yeah, I mean, if you're young and if you're interested in this stuff, try to learn physics. Try to get a good education. You don't have to work a boring job or something. You can just learn out of curiosity and understand nature, understand cause and effect. Like, I'm in my 30s now, and I still think about maybe I'm going to study something around those lines because, yeah, I'm getting more and more curious about things, and it's just good to know stuff for yourself. And I like this public science thing, but a good education in these things, especially physics, is always good. I also want to know, normally I say this in the end of the video, but I just want to say it now. Just let me know your theories and your thoughts about this whole stuff. Like, do we got anti-gravity solved? Is it in black programs hidden and we got UFO flying around? Yeah, transfer drugs and people around and some wild stuff like this? Or is it just all like fantasy? We're gonna make a trend to the next and last section, the epilogue, and that's like basically the current state of UFO physics on this planet right now. And of course, there's some speculation here, but public science movements like APEC, the Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference, and open-minded thinkers, content creators like AlienScientist, and yeah, genuine high-level scientists like Jack Sarfatti are bringing like a fresh wind, a fresh breeze into this area of old, compartmentalized, hidden secret programs where nobody really knows what's going on. And I think it's very nice to talk about these things. And yeah, I cannot recommend AlienScientist channel more if you're like interested in UFO stuff and yeah, and the physics stuff especially. And yeah, I mean, on the speculation side, on the current UFO developments, I mean, I've never seen a UFO myself, but if I would, I could imagine Earth humans flying around and hiding the breakthrough of technology for power and greed. I mean, it would match in some narratives going on this planet, but yeah, of course it's speculation. We can speculate on this for years. We got stories like Bob Lazar. People are debating about Bob Lazar. Maybe he's talking the truth. Maybe he just selling his stuff and making basically advertising for his company who's selling like, I don't know, chemical compounds or some parts. And yeah, I mean, it's an open question. So please, if you want, comment on this video. Let me know your thoughts. If you want to stay tuned on this stuff, I just did a two-week break, but I'm going to upload once a week. You can subscribe so you know everything is going on. And yeah, that was it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.
What's with these schmucks? I mean, if Putin wanted to, by the way, all Putin has to do, he doesn't even have to use nukes. All he has to use like 1,500 pounds of TNT in one of his supersonic missiles. He hits the Ministry of Defense in London. I hope it doesn't happen, but he can pinpoint. He can hit the Elysee Palace. He can hit the Bundeswehr. He can hit the Pentagon. He can hit the White House, and that's it. It's all over.
And
What
I
are they
hope
gonna do
to
then?
God that he
What are
would
they
do
gonna do
that
then?
before nuking the rest of us.
Well,
And I
no,
think he's
without
like
nukes.
competent enough he might.
I'm talking about without nukes.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, hopefully he would choose that and like
Oh, of
save
course he would.
humanity
Of course
over
he would.
nuking the world.
Of
Like,
course,
if it comes
he
to that.
would. Of course he would. You know why? Because the NATO, and sadly, we are bullies. We're like schoolyard bullies.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happened. And when push
Policemen of
comes
the
to
world.
shove,
And
when push comes to shove, and they see actual blood, then they'll just surrender. You know, and the point is, we're wrong. You know, you watch Colonel
Douglas
Wilkerson, you watch Scott Ritter,
who?
you watch Larry Johnson, and they explain what the hell's really going on. It's terrible what we've done. We're the aggressors. We are the aggressors. I hate to say this, but we're the bad guys. And I'm not an Asian food. I'm an American patriot. I grew up, America. I was a Boy Scout. I was a Civil Air Patrol guy. I was in the ROTC.
Oh, I agree with the bad guys. Definitely.
We're the bad guys because we let a bunch of schmucks take over. Well, in any case, that's it. That's it. So, all right, I got to go back and fix my equations.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for joining us. It was good to hear your perspectives. Okay. Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Later.